Hi, Ben here from Supercoach Insider, bringing you round 5 in a nutshell.
No, this is me in a nutshell. Help! I'm in a nutshell!
Bringing you all the information that you would possibly like for these teams. I'm trying to do 18 teams in 18 minutes, 1 minute apiece, pretty much straight up and in anything you need to know. So, SC Insider 100, like, follow, subscribe, and let's get into it and see how we go. That rhymed. Adelaide Crows, Dawson Show, absolutely killed it again, 152 Supercoach. And then the coach comes out pretty much running his mouth saying, try and tag him, blah, 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 blah. So I think Hawks might actually tag him. So he dominated, led with 135 as well. Dawson now getting up to like 650k. So if you don't have him now, it could be your last chance unless you are willing to wait in that. Jones as well, so Chase Jones, chase that money. Don't mind it, but you really need him to keep up with those scores as well. Named in the forward line this week, so who knows, coaches playing tricks there as well. Brisbane Lions, real simple this one. Lachie Neale played 4 quarters of footy and absolutely dominated North Melbourne. The Bunnies of Bunnies are back in town as well. 176 Supercoach for Lachie Neale. Really did spike his price. So if you were too late to get on Neale, people are now looking to next week's opponent or this week. And Tuke Miller is pretty much where people are going. The other one as well, Dunkley did really well for that part. Wilmot kicked a goal and really spiked his score with a 68. And the interesting part, McKenna was on 0 at quarter time, basically. Lucky he kicked a goal late and really spiked his score. He was on track for about a 30 Supercoach. So let's see how they bounce back for that one. I think it's Zach Bailey's 100th as well. So I expect some good stuff to come out of that game. Carlton, an injury to Sard. Some people might have gone from Doherty to Sard for a big spike. Missing this week. Definitely got himself a little bit injured. Shouldn't be too much as far as our long frame there. Sin Cotter, I think, should be possibly in line to get a debut for this one. 102k defender. Not sure if he keeps his spot, but someone to watch. Speaking of watch, Walshy boy, welcome back, mate. Had a really dominant first quarter and then just tailed off a little bit, but he was one of the most impressive. Chera's come through with some goods, but again, Chera's not really SC relevant, not hitting those high scores that we know he could do. McGovern was also laid out in this one. Holland's good enough for a 65 as per usual. Cowan with a 42, so unders. Didn't go 51. He went for a 42, so shame on you in that sense. And Hewitt's been probably the most underwhelming performing premium for Carlton. So I expect them to bounce back. They did not show up at all and got trounced. The biggest loss in the first quarter I've seen probably this year as far as that goes. Collingwood. Now, Collingwood's an interesting one, so I don't know how you can be third person in a tackle and the umpire just blow your whistle, mate. And that way Adams won't come in and get suspended. He's out for 1 week. McStay's done a finger, so I think surgery there. So now they have less rucks to kind of go around. So Kruger apparently could come straight up and in. Hey, mate, come on in. And one VFL game, I think, straight up and into that ruck line as well. Nick Dacos, 40 touches for a 128. Pretty much getting it at will anywhere and everywhere. So yeah, I mean, not sure what you can really say much about that. There's not too much else to say about Collingwood, realistically speaking, because outside of Dacos, they pretty much don't have much going for them at this point. Really waiting for Cameron to come back in, still a little while off, but playing really good footy. And I say that they're like Richmond a few years ago. They're doing really well, but they evenly contribute, which is why there's not much Supercoach relevance there. So don't be butthurt, guys. Essendon is a different one here. So Essendon, Zach Merritt suspended for, I guess an aggressive tackle, but that seems to be the theme at the moment. Just tackle anyone to the ground and get suspended. So 3 people rubbed out this week. People crying about Clary. Get over yourselves. It's not all about Clary. Leave him alone. But yes, let's go with Essendon. So Merritt suspended for a week. Parish stock's going up huge. He's really well priced. Have a look at Essendon from round 10 onwards. They are literally going to bunny every single side. Play like West Coast twice, maybe North twice. Easily run. Pick him up at 550k if you want a premium. I think he's extremely cheap. I would be going there. Satterfield tag Dangerfield. Why not just kill 2 of my players for a round of Supercoach? Lucky they both pulled it through, particularly in that fourth quarter, to come up with some reasonable scores for me in that game. Ridley just doing Ridley things, had a little bit more of a fantasy relevant role this week. Pretty much they have now switched twice this season already between him and Redmond, who ended up scraping through a 72, looked a lot worse before that. People went him after the Doherty incident, so unlucky if you brought him in. I don't like either of them. They are not good at all. So the other one is the Rucks dominated, so look, not really Supercoach relevant, but both of them are really dominating and a handful for a lot of people as well this year. Davey was injured, I think, or managed, so look for him to possibly get back in when those teams are named for that part. Fremantle is the next one. Now, Fremantle, really interesting. Johnson, sub 3 times and now basically 139K, played that week, well, sub 2 times, and this was his third. 67. Maybe he did have it a little bit inflated by the goal that he kicked to put them ahead. However, the team's name today, he's actually named in the CBA, whether you trust the coaches or not, but it is some kind of promising signs where he might be a go-to option for you. So definitely look at that one there. Outside of that, Brayshaw keeps on stinking it up, and Sarong seems to be pretty much the 2023 flavour on how you should play footy. So look, can't really say much about Shrek and Jackson actually both working well together finally, which is really impressive. So maybe I was a little bit too critical on Shrek, but I still think he's probably had the easiest ruck draw over the last 4 weeks. So I'm not sure if I expect his scores of the 130s, etc. to continue. So look, stay tuned as far as that part goes. The other one was a little bit of a debut from... I can't even think of his name. Wagner, look, did really well, had a bit of the ball, took it on and butchered it. So look for a bit of a response there. Geelong. It's pretty much the Stewart show and Cameron. So Hawkins, yes, dominated this game. About time he got some in some bloody form, but Stewart really racked up and dominated that day, so he spiked his price a little bit. Sydney might actually tag Stewart this week, so keep an eye on that one as well because Clark is back in for Sydney, so I am a little cautious. Don't get too excited after 1 week win when I could have got Dawson in my side, but there is definitely some scope for that there. Cameron's doing all right, Dangerfield's doing all right, but otherwise there's not too much there, except if you have Radaglia. If you've held Radaglia, got an 88, so some cash gen there finally for the people that were looking at him or had Witt's cover because he's done really well for a couple of weeks at that point. Then we go into Gold Coast. Now, I don't know what Constable's done or who he slept with, but there is definitely some issues there because he's still not in that side. Tuke Miller is at a really good price now, like 620k, really good bunny run side as well. So they play North, they play a whole bunch of the easy sides coming up. The differential is he should actually average you more, so it's a good time to pick him up at that point. Outside of that, I can't really see much more. Moyle is named on the extended bench. Witts is now back into that side as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do and whether they play the 2 rucks and then maybe even sub Witts out, give him some gameplay, has some back issues. So I'm not sure if he'll be a laid out either. Maybe they're giving him the benefit of the doubt there. Benefit of the doubt, that was not given to Tom Green. Bit of a back slam that got suspended as well for a week, and he didn't even challenge it. I mean, at least go down with some honour. That was the theme of the week. Again, a third one rubbed out, heavily owned player. So look, whether you keep him, whether you get rid of him, if you think he's a keeper, keep him. If you don't think he's going to be a top 10, then maybe get rid of him depending on your trade status. So he's averaged 100.5 the last 4 weeks, which makes him pretty crap in my opinion, unless he's getting the ball, just butchering it. And I have enough of those already because I have Taranto and Hopper. So look, up to you what you do with that one. Cornelia, really good price as well, especially with Green out, should really dominate through that part. As a forward, if you think you'll go 100 to 105, he is definitely good value. 485k, I think, is pretty much where he stands. Hawthorn, perfect this game here. So Green's actually spiked some really good scores with a 76, a nice rookie, starting to get to 230k. Might actually get to about 270 and make 150. Who would have thought? The other thing to note as well is that I'm looking for Hawks if they play Finn McGuinness, I think it is, the tagger. So hopefully they actually tag him, tag Dawson, and really shut him down as well. Hawks unlucky to lose that game against GWS, but look, who can stop Harry Himmelberg to actually get a specky, put him ahead. So really interesting there. Mackenzie was the big one, was a sub. They named him super early. Thank you very much for that, but also ruining cash gen. The subs just keep on, they're giving gifts that just keeps on giving. Let's just manage them and let's ruin their scoring potential and their output as well for Supercoach. So that was just absolutely lovely. The other thing to note as well, they did actually have a rookie that played, I think it was, what was his name? Mitchell. So Mitchell, 67, started off really well first half and then tailed off a little bit, but he's someone to watch this week and into next week as well. Melbourne. Now, Maxi Gawn back this week. So, hey, everyone on that grungy train, here's the best case scenario. They've named a lot of tools in that team so far. So I'm hoping that maybe they just, because he's captain and it's a really big occasion, let's play Max Gawn. If they're winning by a lot, which could happen because Richmond aren't very good at the moment with all their injuries. So maybe they just sub him out of the game and say, hey, that was a good little half a game of running. Let's hope there's no injuries and Gawn gets subbed out because his price will really drop. And Grundy can flourish in that second half with lots of points. So look, let's see how that goes. Clary got tagged by Setterfield, still managed to get 40 touches on 115, particularly though in that fourth quarter where he got 20 touches. So he saved a good score there. So yeah, keep an eye on Grundy, but you really need Gawn to be subbed out. And Grundy's lifespan is now limited. So make sure you get off at the right time if you have that. So North Melbourne. Now, North Melbourne, absolute were markers this one. I expect them to bounce back. Goldie's 300th, so I'd be, if you were a betting person, I'd be going on the line towards North Melbourne. They can't lose that badly again. With Goldie's 300th, I expect them to really, really bounce back. So Sheasel did cop, I think it was a finger injury and a cork to his hip. So he trained away from the squad today. So really watch for a late out on this one. Bloody Aaron Hall's coming back into that side. So it's going to be interesting. I thought maybe McDonald would push into the midfield and Sheasel and Hall stay in the defensive line. However, Sheasel was named on wing. So I don't know if he will rack up like he has if he does play because he's not in that same position. So I expect Aaron Hall to probably come and maybe actually create some issues. So that's going to be interesting there. Phillips just kept on keeping on. Simpkin broke his finger or something or other. So he's out for a little bit, which means Will Phillips probably has better job security and scoring potential for those that actually did start him. Luke Davies-Uniacke didn't do well and copped, pretty much didn't do well. So look, that's pretty much what you get with some of those up and down premiums. Port Adelaide. Now, Port Adelaide, they dropped to Lysette. Brought in Teakle. Good job there. That'll be interesting to see. Butters pretty much apparently was injured preseason. Didn't really know about it. And his CBA started to really increase the last 2 weeks, which goes with his scoring, which we know. So it looks like he might be back in there. Scored a 146. His price is just below 500. If you want him, probably get him now, but his buy does suck because it's actually matched up with so many other players, including like GWS, etc. So keep an eye on your structure for that. Now, Williams, I think it was, got dropped to, we kind of expected. Some people thought he might play, but anyway, he's not there, so don't go that route. And Rosie and a few others. Look, just keep an eye on for this week, but there's nothing crazy there. Wines and Boak, not great. Boak did a little better, but Wines is dropping cash heaps. If he goes under 400, you might actually be able to bring him in at that point. Richmond. Now, Richmond are absolutely havoc with injuries. Small forwards really got them as well, which is why I don't mind maybe even looking at a Chandler and keeping him, just because Papley, Heaney, a whole bunch of these others really dominated as far as Richmond. So they dominated them. Hopper and Tarento are pretty much the lone survivors there. Rioli's still chipping away with some really good scores. Baker's kind of impressing there. Miller was the ruck, but he's a defender, so, not great enough. Great, but not great enough. Clark was an interesting one. Spent half the time on the bench, which was interesting compared to his 2 games before that and his time on ground. But Young impressed with a 62, a guy who was 100,000 and then could have got him in for 130-odd just the week gone. And the other one as well was the ruckman as well. So I can't even remember his name, but there was a ruckman there who you'd probably see. So it's Samson Ryan. So he got a 56, so bar like a wet bar of soap, so he didn't really quite do as well as he could have in that sense. Let's go St Kilda. So St Kilda, there was Gresham is an absolute filthy hog who played poorly and then complained when he didn't get a handball off. So there's that. Let's go with the fact that Steele's back this week. Huge news for those who have him. Steele's back in, so keep an eye on that one. Marshall did dominate, but probably not as much as I was expecting with a 123. Sinclair's really low price, so if you do want to get Sinclair, probably jump on now is probably what I would recommend for that part. Saints have been winning every game, but when they start to get challenged in competition and start to lose some games, I expect people like Sinclair to really cash in with the ball back there a lot and get those rebound 50s as well. The other part, Philippou was on track for about an 80, tailed off in that last sort of half there, was on like 40 at halftime, 67 at full time, so I expect he will get an 80-plus score at some point when he puts it all together. Caminiti got suspended for, taking someone out, sniped someone from Collingwood, so look, he's out for a 3-week period. I'm not sure if that's good or bad for Philippou. Maybe they target him more, so it might actually be good for some contested possessions, contested marks, and goals. So I guess we will see as far as how that mix-up sort of comes through. So that'll be an interesting one to watch out there. Sydney, pretty much the small forward show for that part. There was some good news with Roberts, who was I think sub 3 times drop cash and then actually had a really good game with the 93 Supercoach. He is playing this game off the bench though, but for 130k, I think with that score in his cycle, maybe you just have to take a little bit of a leap of faith for that one. Clark is back into that side though, so it's going to be interesting to see if they do tag this week. So keep an eye out on that one. As far as Stewart's the only one that you would go to probably, so keep an eye for that one. Lloyd, keep on, which is interesting. Wasn't sure who would go there for that, but Blakey had an absolute field day. Goulden's very frustrating. Looked like he was on track for about another bugger all score and scraped through an 88. So go figure, he's a really second half player, it seems, at this current point in time. So debut by Warner, who did okay, but then got dropped. Goulden, the big white buffalo, finally seen and provided and actually did quite well, which was interesting to see. So good on him as well. 2 to go, Bulldogs. Now, Bulldogs, Bontempelli absolutely had a field day and then slowed down. He was on about 128 3/4 time, only ended up with a 145. I say only. He was very impressive until he disappeared in that final quarter. English just cannot stop going. So if you have him, it's like the little engine man that just keeps on keeping on. Wet ball, dry ball, he doesn't matter. He just gets contested balls, clearances, they link up and they look for him. So yeah, he's dominating. Interesting to see how he goes against the Fremantle double ruck system this week as well. So, yeah, see how you go there. Liam Jones finally with an 88. He dominated the best I've probably seen him in quite a while because, he just could do no wrong. So, he really restarted his cash generation there. Baker's kind of tapping out. He's just butchering it a little bit, but I hope he will actually get some redemption this week. So that's pretty much where I'm going to. Speaking of where I'm going to, I'm not going to go where Waitman was because I think we've seen a little too much of him already. So if you weren't sure and you haven't seen it, he kind of exposed himself incidentally. So look, let's just see what happens there. And keep an eye on him, I guess, this week. So that's pretty much where that one is at. For that, and the last one, West Coast. I think Williams, their ruck's now injured, so they're even shorter in that stock department. So I think they might even have to use some of their tools to just kind of make do. Pretty much where we're at with that. Jinby got sniped by Dangerfield, so he got hit, I think maybe once or twice in the eye for one, studs up in the chest for the other, got a bit banged up, and Simpkins like, oh, well, let's just try and rest him. So he got subbed out of the game, which again, stalled his cash generation, has a break even of like 80. Not the worst thing, you probably keep him. He's not a bad on-field scorer, but now even Simpkins talking about, well, maybe we'll just Simpson. Yeah. Talk about playing him even in maybe in defence or something because it's hard to play as a midfielder all the time, so they might even change his role. Not sure if that's good or bad for him, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that part of it. Elliot Yeo injured again. Actually, I think did a groin. So he had OP and osteus pubis and some groin issues previously, but this time he's actually torn it, I think. So he could be done for quite a while, so I guess we'll wait and see as far as that one goes. And that is us, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if I've missed anything, and we have done it. I've got time to spare. We have time to spare. I am going to. Let's see if I've missed anything. I'm going quick. Wow, I probably spoke too quick. Let me know what you think as far as this goes. Let's have a quick look through teams and go for any of these major ones as well. So, yeah, Teagle, I'm really keen to see what happens there. Noah Long is an issue. He's dropped as well. No, injured. So see how that goes there. But if you have him as a cash cow, that's an interesting one. Perryman comes in. Rouston keeps his job. So if you kept him, let me know because I dropped him this week and big mistake. Jared Lyons played for a sub, which is pretty much the only part where he's at because he's now admitted. So he is not great. That's not a good sign for him at all. Aaron Francis comes in. So he is a cheap enough option. Might get a good run because the Amati party is over. He is now injured and out for quite a long time. So that's an interesting part there. Stanley injured and Stengel injured, so there could be some changes there at some point. McGuinness was the one I was talking about. I do apologise. Nate Curvis possibly coming in. Sin Cotter, we've already spoken about. Mitch McGovern was a laid out, so keep an eye on him for possibly a laid out again. Member is finally back. Campbell's back. Oh, that's actually interesting. That could impact. And that could definitely impact. It looks like he's on the extended bench though. So yeah, I guess we'll wait and see tomorrow afternoon if that's an actual issue. But that could definitely impact Marshall for that part of it. Let's just have a quick little look through. Lever's back in. He missed last week. So Gawn's the big inclusion there. And we don't know about Essendon and Collingwood because I hate that. That's like a Tuesday. I love the Tuesday game, but I hate not knowing the teams in advance. But that is the quickest I've probably done it. Too quick, maybe. Let me know. It's the second time I've only ever done this. And that is...
Now, this is me in a nutshell. Help! I'm in a nutshell!
And after that, I am thirsty. Cheers, good day. And here's to some Friday night footy coming. Bye.